Hey guys, I want to apologize for the lack of content on my channel lately. The Windows anniversary update was not kind to my PC, and some software on it isn't working, so thus I have been reduced even further into the trenches to shoot my reviews. But I'm not going to let that stop me, because I just saw a terrific little film that I want you to know about if you don't already. It's called Don't Breathe. It's a horror film directed by Fede Alvarez, not Freddy, like I've been saying. Fede Alvarez. He's the guy who did the Evil Dead remake a couple of years ago, and if you thought that movie was intense, you haven't seen anything yet. And I use that as a segue, a punny segue, into the fact that Stephen Lang, the star of this show, and who, by the way, steals the show, plays a blind man. He's just called the blind man in the credits, who's come across a hefty sum of money lately after the death of his daughter, Jane Levy, who you may know from the Evil Dead remake. She starred in that, and Dylan Minnette. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Sorry, Dylan, if I'm not. They lead a trio of teenagers who break into the blind man's house to steal that money. And let me tell you, after this, the phrase "robbing a man blind" will never mean the same, because this movie is terrifying. From the second act on, each scene just vamps up the intensity even more. And just when you think it's going to die down, it takes it to that next level. And that's mostly thanks to the solid directing of Fede's. I'm talking like we're buddies now. I walked out of this movie thinking, give this guy whatever he wants to do next. It could be a Cujo remake, and it would still be fantastic. He's that good. But perhaps the unsung hero of this film is its technical brilliance, from the choices of the different cameras to the pacing and the editing, the music even, which never gets enough love, by the way. Scores are very important. To the use of sound. Sound is also very important, especially in horror movies, low-budget horror movies like this. And here, they all come together to make a petrifying experience that will have you gripping the edge of your seat, sitting on the edge of your seat, biting your nails off, gripping the arm of the stranger next to you, and they're like, "Oh, get off of me!" And you're like, "No, hold me." Yeah, it's great, especially if you love horror movies. You should see this. If you don't love horror movies, you should see this. The first act is kind of flat. I think it's a flat script, and the first act shows those flaws in the best detail, in a not good way. It feels very generic. The characters aren't that engaging, because there's only a couple of minutes each spent on their backstories. But by the time we meet Stephen Lang, and by the time that second act kicks, it just vamps up, and you won't believe what you're seeing. I promise you. This is an experience that should be seen in theaters. It should be seen in a large crowd. That will make for some fun. Go out, run out, see this movie, support smaller movies like this, especially in this genre. It's hard to find terrific horror films. So go out, support it, throw your cash at it. It's called Don't Breathe.